Hello my crafty friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. This is Cassie. Today I am participating in a blog hop. This blog hop is a collaboration between Pearblossom Press and Gina Designs. We're making light up cards. So let's get into what we are using. I have the Easy Lights. These are by Pearblossom Press. Amanda carries these in her store and they are fabulous. If you've never seen me use these before, you're in for a treat because they are exactly what they're called, easy. We're going to be using this stamp set by Gina Designs called Deck the Halls. It doesn't have a matching die, but this one was just screaming to be used with the Easy Lights. So here we have it. And it's Christmas, so it's going to be perfect. And then I have some white cardstock. This piece of cardstock is cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, so it's the full front of an A2 size card. And we are going to do a little bit of embossing with our ornaments. So I used a magic powder bag. I'm kind of pushing away some of the excess powder, and now I'm going to ink up my stamp using some Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink. I have some Wow embossing powders. This first one I'm going to be using is the METALLINE Himalayan Musk. It's a very beautiful, like a burgundy type color. So I'll just put that right over the top, and then we'll push away any of the excess using a dry paintbrush. And then when I'm happy with that, we will heat set that with our heat tool, and you'll know that it is done because it'll go from a matte finish to a shiny finish. So it'll just take a few seconds for this to heat up, and I am just doing this all on the front of the card. It's not going to be a one-layer card because we're obviously going to be using lights, but I think that this is fun. All right, I'm going to position my other two ornaments, and when I have those kind of where I want them, I'll pull the one away, and we'll go through the exact same process. We'll use a magic powder bag, wipe away any of the excess, and then use the Versamark ink to stamp down our image. We use the magic powder bag because that just keeps any excess powder from sticking to places it shouldn't stick to. And when you're dealing with colors, you definitely don't want any of that to stick where you wouldn't exactly want it. So I'll scrape any excess away. I'm heating from the bottom here, and the reason I'm doing that is because these are a little bit thicker granules on this one, and this color is called the Earth Tone Honey. So it's a beautiful like golden yellow. And then our final one, just getting that positioned, we'll stamp that down doing the same process once again. And the color we're going to use here is called Oasis. It's a beautiful like turquoise. I thought these were nice, pretty colors for Christmas ornaments. These colors are definitely a little bit different than your traditional colors, but I think they end up working perfectly. Now, as I said, this is a part of a blog hop, so I'm going to have my blog linked down below in the description box. So you're going to want to head there. There are prizes available, and I'll have all that information over on my blog. So you're going to want to go there so that you can do the hopping. All right, now I'm going to heat set this one. I'm going to once again come from the bottom, and I do that just so I don't spray those granules anywhere. I can get the heating process started. The next step would be to stamp out the tops of our ornaments. And I like that this set has a couple different options for your ornament tops. I've just grabbed one and then some Woof ink by Simon Hurley, and I'll stamp that on all 3 of my ornaments. And then I did pull out all 3 of the little loops that it came with in the stamp set. I thought about using this one, and then I thought, well, it's a little big for what I'm going for, so I'm not going to use this one. And so I grabbed this one that just looks like it's tied. And honestly, I wish I had used that on all 3 ornaments just because it would have really been cohesive. I love how this is such a retro looking tie. But I did use it on 2. And then I've got the third one, which is just 3 little loops that I'm going to stick on top of the ornament, that final ornament. And I like it. Now I have to actually put some strings on there. So I'm grabbing my T-ruler. This will help me to keep my line nice and straight. And then I'm just using a Memento black pen. And then avoiding the one part of the ornament, I can make it look like that one's coming in from behind. Now I do want this to look like it is hanging on some trees, so I need to add a little bit of green. And even though this stamp set didn't come with any greenery, you can absolutely add the illusion of greenery by doing some ink blending. So I'm using that first color, which is Later Gator, and I'm just blending that all on that background on that upper left-hand side and that whole edge. And then I'll bring in some Fake Plant, which is a little bit darker green, and blend that in there as well. I love that it just gives you the illusion that it's hanging from a tree, but those ornaments are like front and center. I do want to trim this down. Like I said, this is the whole front of an A2 size card, but I want there to be a little bit of a border, so I'm trimming off a 1/4 inch off of the right hand side and the bottom. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I'm doing first generation, second, and third, and all that means is I didn't re-ink my stamp in between stamping. So it just gets lighter as you keep stamping, and I love how that looks. This sentiment says push me, and it actually comes from the Heffy Doodle Interactively Yours stamp set. It goes perfectly with our light up card, and Amanda carries that in the Pearblossom Press store. And then I have just a couple little arrows that will point down, and I stamped those using that Woof ink. I'm going to poke some holes in the center of our ornaments because I want my lights to really be bright, and so I'm just poking those holes where I think the light would look really good coming through. And just using a piercing tool to do so, and then kind of rounding it out to make the hole just a little bit bigger. And that's it for our stamping. Now we'll move on to the actual interactive portion. So this is how the lights come. They actually come together, but this pack only had one left. So here it is. You'll take your battery and you'll pop the positive, connected to the positive, and the negative to the negative, and it's just that simple. That's it. And that's why I like it so much. It takes really no effort to add some lights to a card at this point. And that's part of the reason why I never did interactive or the lights before, because it just was a little too much for my brain to think of, but this takes no thought. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. This is some score tape, and it's a 1/4 inch. I'll put that on the back part of my mechanism and then stick that down, making sure that my little light, when you push it, it will light up. And then the next part is just to make sure that those lights are in each of the holes. So what I'm going to do is line up the light, and I'll pop it through the little hole, and then I'm going to use a little bit of the score tape just to stick that right next to the light. Now Amanda, I've seen her use like just the clear Scotch tape, and she sticks it right over the light and it doesn't matter. I don't actually have any of that, surprise, surprise. So I'm just using this score tape and I'm putting it right next to the light. And that'll keep the lights right in place. Now you might be wondering, what about those wires? That looks like a hot mess. And I'm not worried about the wires. They're going to look like a hot mess. And that's another part to me that's actually appealing. Since nobody sees the back here, it's so easy. All I'm going to do is take all those wires and gather them up, and then take some washi tape and just tape it down. So yeah, it looks like a hot mess, but it doesn't matter. The lights will work perfectly, and you don't have to worry about anything. So there you go. I keep checking my mechanism in between just to make sure the lights are still going, and all is well. Our next step would be to bring in some foam tape. Now, if you're using like the Scotch foam tape, you're going to want to double that up. I am using this Heffy Doodle tape, which is good for shakers and also for these lights. Amanda has some she has some foam tape in the store that works perfectly with the lights. There is basically already doubled up. It's like 5 millimeters thick or so, I think. I could be wrong on the dimension exactly, but they are good and thick. It's like using doubled up foam tape. And all I want to do is just make sure that I don't have any areas where it's going to collapse in the mail. So I'm just adding a few more little pieces of this foam tape into areas where I think it could cause a problem, because I certainly don't want that. And then we'll get our base ready, which I had cut to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches. So this will be a side folding A2 size card. If you wanted to do any stamping, now would be the time, but I'm not doing any extra stamping on the inside. So I'm just going to peel off all of the release paper that I have there on the back of my foam tape. And then I will be ready to put this down to the front of my card. Notice my mechanism's at the very bottom. This makes it easy that if I ever need to change out the battery, if the recipient wants to, they can easily do that. So there you have it, a super easy interactive light up card, and like I said, part of a blog hop. So head down to my description box down below, hit that little down arrow so that you can head to my blog and go check out all the hopping. If you liked this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye everybody.